Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a great day. Today's video, I'm going to show you how I made the Money in the Bank package. I'll show you what programs I used, the plugins required, and the processes that I took to make this piece of work. Without further ado, let's get started. So when it comes to a package like this, we always start with the Illustrator file. Whether I can find it online or if I have to spline it out myself, that depends on the processes that I need to do in order to create the actual logo itself. So when we get started on the logo, I try to spline out the logo and make the 3D composition right off the bat and extrude the logo and prep it for Element 3D. So I hadn't made a Money in the Bank package in a long time. I think the last one I made was in 2019. So I wanted to do something different, and I wanted to go with a fully detailed chiseled logo this time instead of just your flat base that you normally see from my packages. So in order to do that, I had to actually extrude the logo, break it up inside of Cinema 4D, and actually path out these lines for the chiseled text that you see here. So essentially, how to achieve this type of model, you can either use Cinema 4D, you can use 3D Studio Max, you can use Maya, you can use any 3D program at your disposal to create this logo. You can use Blender if you want to. Most of them are all the same in terms of interface, but the skill level is very different from what I understand. So I've stuck with Cinema 4D for a number of years, about 10 years now, and it's never had any problems. I've never ran into any issues with it, aside from processing issues, but that's on the computer side of things. You will need a very powerful computer to run this. Not an extremely expensive computer like mine, but enough to where it'll run it without no crashing issues. Also, a great tip to know when you're modeling and extruding logos like this, when it comes to points, you want to make sure all your points are cleaned up. When I'm creating these lines inside of this logo, you'll see very, very quickly, unfortunately, because the video is sped up, that there's hundreds of points inside of the logo itself. And you can see me actually melting that down and reducing the amount of points inside the actual letter to achieve the chisel effect better. This is just for process work. So during this whole entire modeling process, I want to try to get as many models modeled out and designed as I can, because if I need to go back and create a new model for the set moving forward, I'll have to go back and actually do it by hand and from scratch. Doing it this way increases my productivity. That way I have all of my sets, all of my models ready to go, ready to drop into Element 3D when I go in to design the set. So now we're inside After Effects. You can see I'm setting up my actual composition here. And I've got a couple other models that I have already modeled out, like the wrestling ring and the ladders and everything else. And I have a design that I have down below where it basically entails what the set's going to look like, you know. Everything is done on paper before it's done in person, you know. Rather, not in person, but, you know, on screen, rather. So you can see me here. I use Element 3D for this. I use the most current, up-to-date version of Element 3D. So if you guys have a copy of Element 3D, make sure it's updated. That way you can get the full extent of the plugin before you do this kind of stuff. But you see me here setting up the set and the logos and adding a little bit more depth and detail to everything to make it look as good as it possibly can. So for me, one of the more important things about doing these packages is detail. As I said previously, shading is one thing, especially ambient occlusion. You want to make sure most of this stuff is enabled. It doesn't have to be jacked up to, you know, high numbers, but it's got to look good enough to where it's passable for motion blur and the final render. But you can see here, I'm now moving on to texturing. So enjoy this portion, and I will be back in a second. So when it comes to texturing an entire environment like this, you want to make sure, if you're going for the WWE style, you want to make sure the textures are as realistic as it can possibly be. Because that way when we're doing close-up shots during animation and camera angles, you want to get the full effect of that detail, which is what I'm doing here. Essentially, the original design looks to go a full gold color with a briefcase, as seen in the original promo. But I changed that up to just, you know, your standard greenish, shiny-ish gold color with all of that mixed in. And you'll see with the transition at the beginning of the video how I actually went ahead and utilized that gold texture to make that transition. So throughout the making of this video, I want to try to make sure I have the best scene possible. So this original scene went through a couple different iterations based off of the original concept shown previously. It originally showed the briefcase just kind of hanging above the logo, then I moved it to the ladders, and then finally I decided on just putting it on the ring, on the floor of the ring, just to get the best shot out of it. Because what I was planning on doing later was adding particles and everything else to it to make it look more realistic. So kind of off camera, I actually went ahead and started one of the animations for the opening intro. I didn't get a chance to record it then because honestly I just didn't press record. So you could see how it was animated. It was just simple keyframes. That's all it was done. But I wanted to have it impact in and create a camera shake. I want to say it was based off of, I want to say the 2011 intro is where I got that idea from. So here you see me designing I'm not designing, I'm getting ready to rig up the aura for the actual loop. And this was used with Trapcode Particular. You can get Trapcode Particular off of Red Giant's website. I have the entire suite because it was cheaper for me to get it like that. I'm not sure if they have a standalone copy of Particular anymore, like they did back in the days. Everything is subscription based now with some of these programs and plugins. So it's probably better for your buck if you just get the whole suite versus paying an obscene amount of money for just one plugin. And that's what I did. It saved me money for my business in the long run because I used 3 or 4 plugins out of Red Giant's toolkit rather than just one. So I also use a different type of glow plugin as well. This plugin is called Deep Glow. You can get this for like $40-50 on AE Scripts. It's a better glow engine versus Trapcode's glow system and After Effects standard glow system. It brings the vibrant colors out a little bit better, and they taper off a little bit better versus some of the standard glow engines that you see. So here you can see me setting up some lights here in the composition. So right now I'm setting up the optical flare engine for the spotlights up above. Yes, I am using Video Copilot's optical flares. You can get that on videocopilot.net. I think there's a sale going on, so you might want to check that out if you guys don't have a copy of that yet. But I wanted to go in and get the lighting set up. That way I can see what the actual piece looked like with lighting inside the shot already. Before I finalize some final touches to it and make it look nice and cinematic and clear and whatnot to it. Now I think later I went back and added the masking layer, because when I add the masking layer, it blocks the light and everything else and makes it look more cinematic feel. But in order for me to do that, I have to finish all of the scenes at once in terms of filming and animating, because that way when I make the masking animation, which is just a black version of the Element 3D layer, I can easily go in and transition from camera to camera and render the next shot, and I won't have to go in and do anything else extra. I just go in, change the setting, and it's done. So here we're at the final portion of this video. Again, I skipped over a lot of stuff because it was mostly just a lot of rinse and repeat stuff, and I wanted to shorten it down just a little bit to get you guys to understand, like, hey, this is kind of the same thing, you know? But this is one of the final touches, is adding the WWE logo to it. It's always a pleasure adding this logo because it's so much fun doing it. There are certain ways that I do it. Sometimes I animate it, sometimes I don't. This time around, I think I animated it for the intro. Unfortunately, I did not get a chance to record a piece for the particle system around that particular intro scene. I'll make sure next time around when I get around to doing something that special to do it. But it's always a pleasure to add this logo in here. I wouldn't want to call it my own if it wasn't theirs to begin with. So this is how I essentially model it out. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off right here. I'll let you guys finish watching the rest of the video. Again, if you guys have not subscribed to my channel, especially if you've been watching this video for almost 20 minutes, go ahead, give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'll be posting more videos like this. I have my Summer Slam package coming up very, very soon. I'm going to try to get that out as well as a behind-the-scenes version of that as well, and talk about my processes behind that adventure. So, that being said, I thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.